When it comes to the detective genre in video games, Professor Layton is one of the greats. This puzzle-solving series has stuck with me since childhood. I would solve the puzzles with my dad, I brought the games with me on a March break trip to Portugal that was epic, and as a kid, I always wanted to dress up as Luke and Layton for Halloween with someone. But within the series, my favorite, and arguably the best entry, in my opinion, is Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box. Curious Village kickstarts Professor Layton, but Diabolical Box nails the base concept of the series. It improves not only on the balance between plot and puzzles, but the portrait art, general presentation, and story pacing. It's foundational to some of my favorite things a game can have: a train, a haunted mansion, and a vampire. So let me walk you through my love for the best Professor Layton game. I'm gonna assume that if you're watching this, you already know about Professor Layton and his Diabolical Box deal, but just in case, Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box is a direct sequel to Professor Layton and the Curious Village. Layton and Luke receive a letter from Layton's mentor, Dr. Schrader, about a mysterious item he's recently acquired, the Elysian Box. It's believed that when someone opens it, they'll die. When Layton and Luke arrive at Dr. Schrader's office, they find him unconscious and think he's dead from the box. Inspector Chelmy and Barton bust in and get in the way of Layton and Luke's investigating, but they manage to find a train ticket Dr. Schrader had his hands on and decide to ride the Molentary Express in hopes of finding answers on the Elysian Box. You solve all kinds of puzzles and meet a wide array of people along your investigative journey through quaint towns and dark places. There's so many mysteries to solve, and they all come to a close in a haunted mansion with a vampire. Mwahaha. That's a basic summary of the game, but it's the same concept as before in Curious Village. Layton and Luke catch a lead on some kind of mystery and set out to solve it themselves while you solve puzzles, meet fun characters, and keep up with the main story, theorizing about every unanswered question yourself. Diabolical Box really excels on its formula, and I love unraveling the story through every playthrough and exploring every nook and cranny the game has to offer. So with that, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the game. First and foremost, this game is responsible for my love of trains. In my personal life, I've always loved car rides. They're this incredible opportunity to unwind if you're in the backseat, and throughout my entire life, I've loved listening to music, watching DVDs on a crappy portable DVD player, drawing, and playing video games on my DS and 3DS during car trips. You don't have to worry about being productive because you're stuck in a car. But to experience the same sensations on a train is a whole nother story. I associate trains with Professor Layton because of Diabolical Box. After all, we spend a good chunk of the game on a luxury train. The Molentary Express, to me, is my gold standard of what a train should be in real life, and I have yet to ride a train like that, but I just know that when it happens, I'll be thinking of Diabolical Box the entire time and listening to its music again. Last year, I rode a train by myself for the first time, and it was an actual proper train, not a subway car or a tram line, a real train. It wasn't fancy like in Professor Layton. I didn't have my own compartment with a bouncy couch or a dining aisle to visit. All I had was my seat and a window. But my trip back home on the train was made special because I knew I just had to listen to Professor Layton music on my ride. I couldn't miss this golden opportunity, and it was wonderful. I loved my train ride, looking out the window, listening to these perfect tunes. The Molentary Express segment is a highlight of the game for me. Don't get me wrong, Diabolical Box is fantastic throughout, but I just love this part. I've always loved this part. I get so much out of it. It's a leisurely introduction to the game where you explore the train, trying to get some leads on the Elysian Box, and chill doing puzzles. Speaking of puzzles, the variety on display feels well-rounded compared to Curious Village, at least in my opinion. There's your math puzzles, moving object puzzles, multiple choice brain teasers, and other unique puzzles in between. As a kid, I definitely needed my dad's help for some of these, but even now as an adult, solving puzzles is still gratifying no matter how easy they are. I keep telling myself I'm a genius after solving a puzzle. I especially love the puzzles in this game that directly tie into the story or what's happening. It keeps everything connected in a fun, balanced way, compared to Curious Village, which at times feels like it neglects its story for the sake of tons and tons of puzzles. I know these are puzzle games, but you're constantly bombarded with them in Curious Village. The story takes a backseat, but this issue is resolved in later entries, like Diabolical Box and Unwound Future. Hell, they even make fun of how Layton is constantly reminded of puzzles, no matter how dire a situation is, like when Luke and Layton need to get the fuck out of Harrison Castle. Luke explicitly says now's not the time, and it's great. The sound design of Professor Layton is incredibly satisfying and makes solving puzzles the greatest achievement of your life. The build-up of Layton or Luke solving a puzzle and them smiling at the end, followed by the correct sound, is perfect. There's also the footsteps, Layton's suitcase, dialogue boxes, and hint coin sounds that just make every sound in this game incredible. Here is a Professor Layton sound design demo reel. Enjoy!
Consider this puzzle solved. A true gentleman leaves no puzzle unsolved.
Here goes! That was almost too easy.
The most important puzzle of all time is in this game, and when I tell you it's important, I'm not messing around. Puzzle number 74 changed my life. I didn't know puzzles could do that. I can perfectly remember the first time my dad, brother, and I first solved it. Puzzle 74, aka PU, is as follows. Garlic is a wonderful seasoning when used in moderation, but the smell can be pretty potent. Someone put garlic cloves in this intricate container, and they're really stinking up the room. Use the 2 corks below to help our friend deal with the smell. Touch an opening to put a cork in it. You can use no more than 2 corks. The puzzle below shows a maze you need to solve with some guy in the corner. But guess what? That maze doesn't matter. At first, my family and I were a little stumped. We thought we followed the lines properly, but then my dad takes the corks and he puts them in the guy's nose, and they go in.
Here goes! That was almost too easy.
He solved the puzzle. We got such a kick out of this, and it permanently altered my brain chemistry. I didn't know puzzles could just lie and force you to think outside the box for the sake of telling a joke. It was so clever. It was so slick. I loved it. It's like it broke the rules because it did. So ever since that day, this puzzle has stuck with me. It floats around in my head, and it's the puzzle my family can instantly remember. This is a gold standard puzzle. Simple, yet effective, clever, and full of humor. Yes, this is the puzzle of a lifetime. When it comes to side content in Professor Layton, the Professor's Trunk is the place to be. It's a wonderful pause menu that keeps you up to date with the story through the Professor's Journal. The old diaries add another layer to the main story as you collect them throughout the game, and our central hub of mysteries can be checked on too. But when it comes to the fun stuff like the trunk minigames, there's one that reigns supreme. The tea set minigame is probably the most beloved side quest in Professor Layton. You receive a tea set after solving a certain puzzle, along with an assortment of ingredients that you can mix and match together to make all kinds of delicious brews for people in need. You solve their tea troubles by deducing what they specifically want from hints and trial and error mixing. Layton and Luke's reactions are super sweet and funny, depending on if you succeed or fail. Either way, it's a fun time. Putting the pieces of your camera together is nothing special, but it's fine enough. You collect these camera pieces and have to assemble them together. And then there's also a spot the difference minigame that comes along with the camera. It's fine. There's also helping the chef's hamster lose weight from creating the right obstacle course, and that's okay too. It's chill. You get to name the hamster. It's fine. Getting back on track to our main story, throughout Diabolical Box we've been led down this haunting path full of mysteries, from the deadly Elysian Box, the strange town of Folsense Layton and Luke end up in, from the Molentary Express mysteriously switching train cars, to the looming vampire roaming in a castle. Initially, the game starts off nice and fluffy, despite the death of Dr. Schrader jump scare. Layton and Luke are on a train enjoying the ride, finding someone's missing son, who turns out to be a dog, get a hamster, and bump into Flora from the first Professor Layton game, who tags along with them on their journey. We explore the lively town of Dropstone, living it up during its 50th anniversary that has a cow competition going on. Go Matilda! It's a lovely time, until the horrors. we get to Folsense, where the haunting path truly begins. I love the atmosphere shift from these relaxing, quaint locations to the nighttime setting of Folsense that's still bright in its own way from the colorful streetlights. You know something's off, but the music, chatting with the townsfolk, and the beautiful lighting makes Folsense feel calm and peaceful. Despite the mysterious Elysian Box and the vampire who roams Harrison Castle being revealed as Anton, a relative to Beluga, who is the owner of the Molentary Express. I've left out a lot of information. I'm just really begging on you to already know what I'm talking about because I didn't feel like explaining everything. At its core, Diabolical Box ends up being a carefully hidden love story. I haven't mentioned her up until now, but Katya, a girl who left Dropstone for answers of the Elysian Box, tells the truth through her connection to this entire mystery. We learn that Anton is her grandfather, and his backstory unfolds. Closing out all of our mysteries, the answers become clear through Anton's old diaries, the flashback ball Layton and Luke see, and Anton himself revealing the truth. A long time ago, Anton, the Duke's son of Harrison Castle and Folsense, met a woman named Sophia at a fancy ball. They fell for one another and eventually got engaged, but as the people of Folsense were falling ill to a mysterious disease, Sophia ends up leaving Anton, saying, "There's someone else I love who needs me even more than you." Anton takes this as Sophia falling in love with someone else and feels betrayed. He's left completely in the dark about the details of her departure, but decides to send her a letter in a box in hopes of ever hearing from her again, though all these years later he has yet to receive a reply. A tragic love story indeed, but it's not over. It turns out that the mines of Folsense have hallucinogenic gas that have warped everyone's perception of the town. In actuality, the town is a rundown husk of its former self, and the people of Folsense left 50 years ago from the mysterious disease, causing people to fall ill to develop a new town, Dropstone. Okay, this gas is kind of hard to explain, but because Anton acted as a vampire to drive out unwanted visitors, gold stealers of the mines, fortune, people who wanted money, and the rumor of the Elysian Box being that if you open it, you die, the gas has the ability to warp people's perceptions and have them believe those things. So Anton, acting as a vampire, ends up with him believing he's still young like a vampire, and when people in the past have opened the Elysian Box thinking about the rumor, they would then pass out or actually die because the box has some of that hallucinogenic gas in it. I should have just let the professor explain it, because in the professor's journal, it directly states that a hallucinogenic gas released from the mine has been playing tricks on us the whole time, making the ruins of Folsense appear alive and vibrant. It seems that traces of this same gas are emitted by the Elysian Box, and those who opened it were exposed to a dose powerful enough to cause frightening visions. It is this gas that started the legends surrounding both the Elysian Box and Folsense. This part of the game is kind of confusing, but it's better if you don't question it. Just be along for the ride. After the castle is destroyed, blocking the mines and hallucinogenic gas, Anton's true appearance is revealed. Now that the Elysian Box is back in Anton's hands, he reveals that there's a special way to open it. When you solve the puzzle, there's a letter inside.
My dear Anton, are you well? I received your letter. Though I'd like nothing more than to see you again, I'm afraid I no longer have the strength to do so. You don't know how many times I've thought about you over the years. I often wonder if you hate me for what I did. Do you? When I decided to leave, I was carrying our child. I couldn't bear exposing that tiny life to such danger. I knew your father's position and understood you didn't have the option to leave with me. Even though I did the only thing I could, I'll always regret leaving you that way. But there's one bright spot in this sad story, and that is our lovely granddaughter, Katya. My departure all those years ago has given you the chance to meet. Katya's mother died shortly after she was born, but Katya grew up strong and sweet just the same. She reminds me of you every time she smiles. With her around, I could never forget about you, even if I wanted to. You've been in my thoughts since the day we parted. And now, though my time here is drawing to a close, I like to think we'll meet again on the other side. The thought of seeing your face warms my heart. Be well and be happy, my dear Anton. Goodbye.
In the end, Anton vows to spend the rest of his days with Katya as Layton and Luke head back home. This is my favorite part of Diabolical Box. It's a genuinely beautiful and touching conclusion to the entirety of the game, and the ending theme that plays, Iris, gets me every time. It's just such a beautiful and lovely song. It's gorgeous, and maybe I shed a tear thinking about it. Oh. So that's Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box. It's my favorite Layton game, and though I left actually a lot of stuff out, I kind of didn't really want to cover every single thing either because it wasn't really important to mention, or if you guys really want to, you could talk about it in the comments. Woohoo! But I just love this game. It's one of my childhood favorites, and it just means so much to me. Thank you guys for watching. Long live Professor Layton. Bye-bye!